Someone recently asked me, Ramana, I have assets in Texas and in India. Do those assets automatically go to my kids should something happen to us? Is there like a process involved? Well, let's take the situation where you don't have a will or you don't have a trust either in Texas or in India. So let's take India first, right? So let's say that you don't have a will or you don't have a trust in Texas. So what's going to happen? Since you don't have an estate plan in place, we don't know what your wishes are. So most likely, what's going to happen is the government or politicians, they've already written a default estate plan for you. And what you do when you actually do put an estate plan in place is that you kind of opt out of the default estate plan. Now, if you don't have a will or a trust, what's going to happen is these default rules are going to apply to you. Now, in both in Texas and in India, most likely, assets will go to your kids, but the process through which these assets are delivered to your kids, that's a bit complicated, a maze. To take India for example, so let's say that you own assets in Hyderabad, right? And you own properties here, real estate here, you don't have a will. What's going to happen is you need to approach the local civil court to get a legal heir certificate. You have to run around lawyers. Not a fun process, could take a long drawn out process. In different states, so it depends on where your assets are. In India, the way, if you don't have an estate plan or if you don't have a will, the way assets are transferred, the procedures differ from state to state. So in some states, there's an officer called the Mandal Revenue Officer, or the revenue officers, they issue these legal certificates. In other states, they don't. So, you're kind of leaving it up to chance. On the other hand, in Texas, if you don't have a will or a trust, what's going to happen is you are going to end up in court, or your kids are going to end up in court for a process called determination of legal heirship. Again, if you show up in court, or if your kids show up in court and say, we're the legal heirs, the court is not likely going to believe them. There's going to be an attorney ad litem who's going to be appointed to, just to perform the check that, in fact, that they are the only legal heirs. They're going to require disinterested witnesses to say that these guys are the only legal heirs. Could be an expensive, long, drawn-out process. So to answer that person's question, yes, assets will be transferred to your kids, but the process through which assets are transferred could be long, drawn-out, costly, and expensive.